Mr. Blair was handed a yellow jumpsuit at the Orange County Jail.
That's
his
fun.
first time behind bars since leaving prison. People mess up. People get things wrong all the time. Yours truly included, and certainly Gerald. And the media messes up. Okay. Sometimes it's just you make a mistake. Sometimes there's new information. Sometimes the information, it changes and you have to adapt. Sometimes it's not only malicious, but it's so tone deaf that you're basically putting your ear to the ground to hear the piano, even though you're riddled with syphilis. It's time for media malpractice. And we have a couple to get to. All references, we make them publicly available. I highly recommend you go and read this. There might be a paywall if you don't have a membership. We have to pay for all of these memberships, and I feel guilty to New York Times and Washington Post and Wall Street Journal, Forbes, blah, blah, blah. But
it does this for us.
Yeah. We didn't know what to pull. This is all one article.
It's the whole thing.
At the New York Times.
This is a book, dude. There's chapters. There's literally chapters.
And here's the thing. Is it funny? Sure. But it also shows you, when people talk about the country club sort of Democrats, the parties have changed a little bit now. What they're talking about is this. The person writing this does not care about you. The person writing this doesn't believe that anyone, including serial criminals who have no business being here, should be deported. So if you just sort of follow that down the end of its logical trail, it's, okay, you need to pay for these people, as we have seen in New York City. As we've seen with hotels, as we have seen with SNAP benefits, EBT cards, right? If they don't believe that this guy should be deported, and this is an entire write-up. Like, think about this. Abrego Garcia, do I have that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Abrego, that's the example they found, right? Yeah. It's a guy who clearly was an MS-13 gang member.
Maryland man. Make sure you get it correct.
Just, doesn't this tell you something? If they're really, really looking to do a profile on the poor, innocent, hard-working, law-abiding migrant who accidentally gets deported. And instead, you end up with MS-13 gang member and this. So, the headline is, 21 years later, deported back to a home he barely knew. All right.
Can we talk about this being the island of Jamaica, too, just a little?
Yes.
I know there's some slummy parts of it, a lot of the island, but it's Jamaica.
Also a home that still existed. He has a place to live.
Yeah, he does.
With relatives that he definitely knows and sent things back to.
Yes.
What? You barely knew. You knew the address. You were sending shit back for years.
Yes. You sent back an autographed best of Bob Marley, which, by the way, there's only one song. Can we stop?
Come on.
With the stupid tattoos.
One love.
You described this during run through, like, this is the exact kind of person who would want.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was like 4 years ago, or no, not even 1 year ago. We're in the campaign. Both sides come together and go, who's the people that need to be deported? Okay, not the average person. All right, not the dreamers. Not the anchor babies. No. It's the guy who's guilty of kidnapping. Yeah, probably that guy.
Yeah, probably that guy. They make the case.
Armed.
They make the case for why he should be deported while lamenting.
Illegal weapons possession.
Like, this article might as well be called fodder for those advocating deportation. Like, validation for Trump's policy.
If he's guilty of kidnapping somebody, it should be called kidnapped person gets kidnapped.
Yes.
Kidnapper goes home.
Kidnapper gets kidnapped. Yeah. I got it. I'm baffled. I can't even speak today. I deserve an admonishment.
Under Trump administration, message is clear. Kidnappers not welcome.
I like it. What a douche.
And they'll still try and make it a race thing. If you're like, well, I don't want kidnappers because he's black. No, because he napped kids.
No, that's not.
It's the napping that I have a problem with. So let me read you some of this. Nascimento Blair returned home in shackles.
Good.
Shackles or zip ties?
He Scrooge is at Marley.
Yeah.
Over the next 3 nights, you'll be deported.
Ghost of kidnaps
You'll
past.
be visited by 3 Rastafarians when the bell tolls 11:30 a.m. if they sleep in.
Or around whenever we wake up, man.
All right, it says, he landed in Jamaica in February, 21 years after he abandoned the island, seated next to dozens of his countrymen who were also handcuffed. Here's they don't specify. Were they also kidnappers?
Yeah, like being handcuffed is
This
the worst thing.
This is not an op-ed on them, so obviously they have done worse.
They have.
Still dazed, he looked out of place. He had on the same winter clothes, a pea coat, a turtleneck, gray suit, and Chelsea boots. How I often picture my Jamaicans.
He had style. Why did we deport him?
He had been wearing when U.S. immigration authorities had abruptly detained him on a frigid morning in New York City weeks earlier.
It was frigid, Steven. Feel bad for him.
I should feel.
He had icicles on his testicles.
I should feel bad for him.
Did he say 21? He was there for 21 years?
Yeah.
He was in the U.S. for 21 years.
Yes.
Oh, he's in the U.S. for a total of 21. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
And he's 44?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just doing some math here because it's not like this guy was 5 when he left Jamaica.
No, he spent the majority of his life
Yes.
Okay.
in the home he barely knew.
So here's the thing. They're setting this all up, right? I'm not going to... Maybe I should just read all of it. You guys let me know if you want me to read all of it. But I'll go to the second page here where I just want you... Just please have your drink your coffee if you need to.
Yeah.
Have your short-term memory working so you can remember the first 2 phrases once I speak immediately the very next phrase in the article. Okay? I don't know how important.
read it.
All right. They don't look at you like a Jamaican, Mr. Blair said. They look at you like a criminal.
That's sad.
Next phrase. Mr. Blair did not give them details about his past. An odyssey that began with a side hustle dealing marijuana in the New York suburbs as a 24-year-old Jamaican transplant, which led to a kidnapping conviction he disputed and a 15-year prison sentence he fulfilled.
You know who he disputed it with? The guy who got kidnapped!
It's like they look at you like a criminal. Are you one?
Hold on.
Yeah, man,
By the way, they don't say
the point.
They don't say wrongfully.
No.
They say he disputed.
Every criminal does. What are you talking about?
They're like, hey, we think you kidnapped this person. No. Yeah, we have proof. 15 years.
No, I was just holding him, man.
By the way, do the math.
The guy in 15 years, he's a kidnapper. Of course they look at you as a criminal. You're like amongst the worst.
Yeah, everybody in prison is innocent.
Yes, that's true. I also saw Shawshank. Got it. By the way, do the math. It was one of the first things he did here.
Yes.
Was kidnap.
It was like first thing. Oh, America, the land of kidnapping opportunity.
Since when can you not do that here?
That's crazy, man.
There's free people to kidnap here.
There's 3 people that are involved in this case.
I know. I know. And by the way, just again, you think of, look at all of this. This is all making the case that the man who came here immediately kidnapped, did 15 years hard time, should not be deported. That's from the New York Times. Okay.
To Jamaica.
It was his criminal past that had gotten him deported from the United States. You fucking think?
Wait, did he write this article?
Is anything else relevant? It's like, well, yeah, look, we all agreed we're going to start deporting the violent criminals,
Right.
certainly pedophiles, kidnappers. Okay, hold on. Where he had been rebuilding his life and seeking redemption, largely with more kidnappings. He had earned 2 college degrees, started a trucking business, mentored people, released from prison, cared for fiancé with breast cancer, taking classes at Columbia University. All right, none of it.
They brought up his fiance's breast cancer because, again, heartstrings. I'm going to
Yes.
point it out. Every time they try to tug your heartstrings,
Yeah.
I'll point it out.
On paper, Mr. Blair fit the profile of the people Mr. Trump says he wants to deport.
Yes.
Those
Yep.
with criminal backgrounds. They write it. I'm not saying it.
Yep.
Yes. Correct.
We all agree.
Yeah. On the same page?
Oh, good.
So this is a good thing.
So this whole thing, might as well read the defense, is like, to be fair, he didn't kidnap anyone during the 15 years he was in prison.
I don't think you get credit for that. I don't think that's how it works.
Oh my God. Okay. Biden administration. Okay. All right. Here you go. But to Mr. Blair and his supporters, his life story was one of rehabilitation, nuanced and filled with qualities that they believe Mr. Trump's deportation machine disregards as it flies out immigrants en masse.
Yes.
Well, I don't think it's disregarding his story so much as acknowledging it. Like, hey, we have to look for who we should deport. Oh, somebody who has no business being here. You did 15 years for kidnapping? Yeah, you're gone.
No, but he made paper maches in prison.
Yes, exactly.
Told other people not to do it.
He had a pen pal.
His removal from the United States and dizzying journey back to the Caribbean raises a fundamental question Americans are grappling with as they consider the president's immigration crackdown. Who deserves to stay? Okay, I can't answer that entirely, but I can say not kidnappers.
Yeah, pretty easy.
You know, like
without exception.
Yeah,
in fact,
pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much. As a matter of fact,
alleged kidnappers? You maybe
have a
convicted?
case. I would even say like natural-born kidnappers. You'd have a case to deport them.
Somewhere.
But he was good for 5 years before the kidnapping.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Blair was home, except Jamaica did not feel like home. Not enough people to kidnap there, are there?
They know you as the kidnapper and run away.
Here's the next chapter. A cryptic call from ICE.
What?
In this chapter, they lay out how he was deceived by ICE when they called him and said, "Hey, please come here." I got tricked.
Hey, they called me and they asked me to go to ICE, and I did, and they did what ICE do.
I thought I could kidnap.
I don't think it's all that cryptic. Like the call from ICE should be like, "Hey, yeah, Mr. Blair, we're going to be deporting you on account of all that kidnapping.
Want to come down and see us? Yes, you tricked me. Hey, so on account of, so he's a kidnapper and he's also an idiot? Yeah, we really have to get rid of this
He's
guy.
also here illegally. We're forgetting that. Like, all this is enough to be like, oh yeah, he was never allowed to be here.
Yeah, you shouldn't be here if you're here illegally. If you're here illegally,
Period.
and you're like a parking violation, that's enough for me.
Yes.
All right. A judge ordered cryptic call from ICE. Okay, next chapter. A judge ordered Mr. Blair to be deported after he was convicted of kidnapping in 2006, accused of abducting an acquaintance who had stolen weed from his apartment.
I get it, Steven. You can't tell the cops, hey.
I also feel like if they wanted to paint him in a more positive light, like the New York Times could have chosen a litany of different phrases, but instead it's like abducting an acquaintance who had stolen weed from his, like, think of like abducting an acquaintance who allegedly had violated his, business
Personal property.
inventory. But like, yeah, he stole his reefer, so he kidnapped him.
Another pull on the heartstrings. They couldn't technically say friend.
Right.
They had to say acquaintance because the guy lived in the same building.
Yeah.
And he smelled the weed.
And he's like, I know where the weed is.
All right.
Yeah, they saw each other from time to time outside. They knew each other.
Oh my God.
The deportation order loomed over Mr. Blair as he rebuilt his life after prison. Mr. Blair, who lived in Yonkers, New York, and worked in Harlem, had to check in at the ICE office in downtown Manhattan 7 times over 5 years.
The audacity.
Okay, but
That's more than probation. Or less. Sorry, that's less than probation.
doesn't that mean that 6 times under Biden, they looked at him and went, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
By the way, it's about, if he's in Yonkers or if he's going from Harlem, it's about like a 25-minute train ride.
Yeah. How awful.
About approximately once a year, you got to take a 20-something minute train ride.
Oppressive.
Like, the fact is, what can we expect immigrants here, let alone, let's just assume this guy was legal. What can we expect immigrants to contribute at a certain point? Like, we're not even at the point of talking about taxes, assimilating into your community, giving back. Like, you take a 20-minute train ride every year. In 2 years, you might have to do it twice. Can we ask that?
With
Of
an
a
appointment
kidnapper?
that you can plan around. I mean, that's less than a dentist.
I mean, it really is.
Opportunities for kidnapping along the way. Who knows?
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. There's just, it just gets. Okay.
Mr. Blair regularly shipped barrels filled with cooking supplies, textiles, and other goods from his home in Yonkers, New York, to his family in Jamaica. Now, back in his homeland, he's benefiting from the contents. So, yeah.
How much you want to bet that they weren't just cooking supplies in those barrels that he was shipping back? How much you want to bet? This is a guy. Oh, hold on a second. This is a guy who was kidnapping. This is a guy who was selling so much weed that a friend in his apartment building knew how much weed was being sold, and he did 15 years for kidnapping said snitch. And I don't know about you, but even like when I ship Christmas gifts like to families, they're often not barrels.
They tell you how much weed was in his apartment.
Yeah.
Later, very much later in the article.
Okay.
So that you give up
much?
before then.
Oh, okay.
How much? Do you know?
It's at least 3 pounds.
Whoa.
It's either he had 3 pounds or 3 pounds was stolen out of the stash.
Yeah, well, that's why you got to do some kidnapping.
Weed is a very light drug, by the way.
Yeah. Just
You don't know it at home.
3 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
3 pounds is a lot. Mr. Blair, who goes by Blair, dressed up as he typically did and headed to the ICE office. Unlike many immigrants who wade through the country's convoluted immigration system without legal or financial support, he was not alone. Well, that's nice.
He dressed up, Stephen.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he brought some of his kidnapping victims along with
Put
him.
on his Chelsea boots.
Nearly 50 friends, supporters, and New Yorkers, an unlikely contingent of community organizers, college professors, and faith leaders showed up outside in solidarity, bearing posters.
I'm sorry, an unlikely contingent of community organizers, college professors, and faith leaders? You mean all the usual suspects?
exactly.
Most likely.
Yeah.
You mean no friends, people who do this for a living?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's like if I was getting deported and the crew from Panda Express showed up. What will we do with all the Beijing beef?
I hope the posters said, bye.
Yeah. And then it says, they had banded together to try to stop his deportation through a flurry of last-minute letters to ICE, casting him in a sympathetic light, a rehabilitated man who had repaid his debt to society. So I guess ICE didn't take it, but then you wrote a puff piece on it, New York Times.
You know what? I'll say this. I think people can be rehabilitated.
Sure.
I think the guy made a mistake, and I have no doubt that he's probably a good dude overall. But you kidnap somebody, you can't be here.
No,
you were never
you're
allowed to
done.
be here. You kidnap somebody, guns in your
He should have never done 15 years in prison. He should have been, oh, wait, you kidnapped somebody. Oh, okay, we're sending you back to Jamaica. Why? Well, because we're not going to pay to house a kidnapper who shouldn't be here.
You know what I mean? It's like feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, do a crime, do the time.
That's
or
right.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think they would understand that better than this New York Times piece. Do you think this guy is any good at bobsledding?
I don't. I don't think it really caught on.
No.
Well, it doesn't matter now. He's got a criminal record. They won't let that in the Olympics.
You don't think anyone was inspired by that very long movie in which they lost?
Well, they picked it up
Hey,
and
it's
carried
really
it.
cool, dude. I like that movie. Don't you do this to me.
They've been training the whole time and they immediately crash their bobsled, so they have to carry it.
That's true.
That lucky egg wasn't very lucky.
No, it was not. I was like, Mr. Blair entered the ICE office on February 3rd with his lawyer, Bernard Harcourt, a Columbia law professor. Oh, okay. Of course.
He took some classes at Columbia.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a friend.
All right, hold on a second. Okay. From New York to Louisiana. This is another chapter, by the way.
How many chapters are there?
There's so many chapters. Like this whole thing could just be, hey, our immigration system is broken. People
New
are
York-
coming here and immediately committing crimes, ending up in prison, and then back on the streets. That's what they should write. But instead, since they have to wade through the bullcrap and, like you said, tug on your heartstrings, it's just a bunch of irrelevant information. The guy came here illegally, and he immediately committed a serious crime that violates an American's fundamental human rights. Gone.
Well,
They're pulling at the heartstrings. They go, the way they tricked Mr. Blair into coming to get arrested. If they tricked him, why'd he get dressed up and bring 50 protesters?
very much not true.
On a cryptic call. And also, you said the next chapter is called From New York to Louisiana. This is our subject's Huck Finn story.
Yes, it is.
No, it's fantastic.
Can we get in touch with this author so that Steven can do an interview with him?
I would love to. Josh, do you want to take some? Do you want to read some?
Yeah,
of this? I know
sure.
you've
'Cause this
been
is
reading-
fun. It was close to midnight. Oh, no. When Mr. Blair was transferred to a jail a short drive north in Orange County, New York, where ICE holds many people rounded up in New York.
Oh.
ICE officers paraded Mr. Blair and other detainees before loading them into vans, posing for photos with immigrants like trophies, Blair said.
Like it's Roots.
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on. Everyone get a good look at my illegal immigrant.
It says what he says. One of the officers says, "This is the new administration. You weren't a priority then. You are a priority now. Got no
Good.
problem with that."
Feels special. That's good.
Mr. Blair.
It's weird that the cops are just kind of like jabbing him, but whatever.
I don't think that ever
They're
happened.
upset they weren't allowed to do their job before. They're now allowed to do it. Then they go on to say Mr. Blair's handed a yellow jumpsuit. That's oh no, he had Chelsea boots. Now he's got a jumpsuit.
No,
That sucks.
look at this. Hold on. It says, look, I want to highlight this. Mr. Blair was handed a yellow jumpsuit at the Orange County Jail.
That's
his
fun.
first time behind bars since leaving prison.
Where he was for 15 years.
New reality. He once knew.
It's like they wrote this entire article for someone else, couldn't find them, and just said, we can just like add one phrase and it'll fix it. Like, this was his first time behind bars. Just add since he'd last been to prison.
Right after that, it says the staff were respectful and he was allowed visitors. That's nice. He was there for 17 days. And then on February 21st, his birthday.
Oh no!
Like they did it maliciously. Like they waited to transfer all these prisoners
Yeah, like some boy comes,
until his birthday.
some guy comes in some warden. He's like, Santiago. That's Italian for I hear it's somebody's birthday.
Never gonna guess what present we got you.
We got you a nice surprise.
Going home.
No soap. Shave him dry.
Make a wish, boy. Too bad. Jeez.
I just want to go home.
on his
We
birthday-
can arrange that.
Yeah, we will send you. So on his birthday, he was transferred with little explanation to a jail in Nassau County. The next day, he was awakened about 3 a.m. Another heartstrings like, oh, you can't wake up at 3 a.m. They got to be somewhere. So he was taken to Newark Liberty International Airport. There, and he other detainees were put on a plane. And his charter company, yada, yada. The detainees wore
They wore arm and leg restraints that left Mr. Blair's wrists swollen.
as cuffs do.
Oh my.
So this is fun to me.
What's the alternative? No restraints?
Yeah.
No restraints when you're taking them to a public airport?
I trust you.
So let me hold on. Let me make sure this is really clear. They transferred him with no so you would like them to explain to him, do it at a reasonable hour so he can get a full night's rest, and then have him in a public airport with no restraints so he can easily run away.
They sound like it's such a victim story to get up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport. Have you never gone to an airport?
I know.
Everyone gets up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport unless you're a money bags that can fly out at 1 p.m. Anyway, the plane departed about 8:30, stopping in Boston, Buffalo, and Pennsylvania to pick up others in custody, mostly men, Mr. Blair recalled. Ugh, sausage fest.
I was hoping there'd be some easy bitches for kidnapping.
Then they go 12 hours later, they land in Louisiana.
Hold on a second. Is the implication here that they're like pissed off that this illegal alien didn't fly direct?
I guess he
I
had
think so.
layovers.
And then he had a layover.
Yeah. Oh, you're to fly like most of us?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Then it goes on to say when they got there, people were being replenished. When 50 people leave in the morning by 10:30 a.m., the doors open and 60 more people walk in, Mr. Blair recalled, and still mostly men.
Well, here's
I
another.
didn't say that.
Here's another. Okay, here's the next chapter. A conviction haunts on arrival. You mean you're haunted by your past of kidnapping?
Oh my god.
Again with Marley here.
Okay, Mr. Blair, the Jamaicans were the second. Okay. Caribbean nations have been bracing for an influx of flights packed with repatriated citizens, as well as people looking to self-deport to avoid the shame associated with deportation. So all of this and how terrible it is, they're also saying that a lot of people are voluntarily deported.
Which he could have done if he had a problem with those 7 visits during 5 years.
At any point. All right, here's another. I wanted to highlight this. It says, Jamaicans deported to the island, many of whom have criminal backgrounds. How much you want to bet? Most of whom.
Right.
Close to all of whom have long had to grapple with social stigma that stems from a widely held perception that deportees are unemployable, dangerous, and destined to fuel crime. Yeah, I would imagine that if someone is arriving in Jamaica and whatever their equivalent to immigration or customs, like, reason for him getting to Jamaica, and the guy's like, he's a criminal who kidnapped people. They're like, oh, so there's a good chance he'll kidnap over here.
Yes.
Great.
It's not the deportation. It's the criminal record that you have that makes them think that.
I also, by the way, they said, like, it's a home that he barely knew. Oh,
For 20-something
But then it
years.
just says, growing up, Mr. Blair attended an all-boys high school in Jamaica.
Sausage fest.
And chased dreams of playing soccer in England. Yet in 2005, less than 2 years after moving to the United States on a work visa to join his father-in-law, the state with the largest Jamaican population, he wound up sitting in a Westchester jail. Well, he did because he committed crimes.
Yes. That's not our fault. That's not society's issue. That's his.
I love how they say sitting in a Westchester jail. Then the very next paragraph, before landing in jail. You don't land in jail. This isn't Monopoly. He didn't roll a 6 and then lose $100.
I thought I kidnap a bitch and pass go.
Maybe if I roll devils, they let me out, man.
Oh, no. I shouldn't have bought that hotel at Kidnapping Gardens. All right, here's another one where he's interviews. I got caught up selling weed and fell in love with the money.
Yes.
He said.
I get it.
I strayed from my soccer dreams.
At the age of his early 20s.
Yeah,
at the age of 23 or 24, he's like, maybe I'm not gonna make it, man. Maybe when they recruit all the 16-year-olds, they're not gonna be looking for a 23-year-old marijuana seller.
That's right. I don't think I can play in FIFA, but I can kidnap one who can. Those dreams. Oh, no, sorry. This is the New York Times person, not him again.
Yeah.
Those dreams were resoundingly shattered on October 11, 2005, when an 18-year-old who lived in Mr. Blair's building broke into his apartment and stole half a pound of marijuana and money. Mr. Blair did not report the break-in to the police, fearful of getting busted for possessing marijuana.
Yes.
Pounds. Instead, he took matters into his own hands.
I thought the left hated vigilante justice.
This is part of the problem here.
The police arrested him and 2 other men the following day after they were accused of kidnapping the teenager, holding him at another apartment, and demanding $5,000 from the teenager's father over the phone.
What?
Mr. Blair was accused of pistol whipping the 18-year-old and driving him to the apartment where prosecutors say he was tied up. The police freed the... So here's the thing.
Here's an...
All of this... No, I watched, but here's the funny part. Like, they want to give... this guy did 15 years. Okay, just to be clear. And I'm going to get to the part where you obviously... Like, nothing is 100%. It's just 100% that this happened, because you'll understand, again, with the very, very next phrase. But think about this. It wasn't just kidnapping. He took matters into his own hands. And so he got a group of other grown men to kidnap a teenager, tie him up, pistol whip him, and hold him ransom, demanding money from the kid's father.
But at least they didn't call the cops on him.
Exactly. Then it says, the police freed the teenager that night after raiding the apartment, where they found 2 handguns and 2 pounds of marijuana, meaning the police found him tied up with guns. So in other words, their
that was just a game we were playing.
their culpable deniability is they show up, they find a teenager who's been kidnapped by a group of Jamaican men, likely bruises all over his face, tied to a chair. But the New York Times wants you to believe his defense was he had the gun, went like, it's on the floor.
Sounds like he got swatted.
Poor guy.
Dude, that's a gang crime.
Yes, this is like they make movies about this. This is the whole plot of Rush Hour 1 and 2.
Yeah.
What do you think you got? Look, we all make mistakes. Who among us hasn't recruited 2 other Jamaican bodyguards and kidnapped a teenager while destroying their father's life, holding him for ransom, pistol whipping him in the cock?
I think it's also the plot of Bad Boys 2. I could go on. There's so many fucking movies, dude. Who's not in my house? Before you read this about the account of what happened, it says prosecutors and Mr. Blair differ on what happened next.
Oh, yeah.
By prosecutors, they mean The guy who was kidnapped, pistol whipped, and tied up.
And his family.
Oh, here's the other thing too. How else do you have any other evidence that he did it? I know this doesn't always, but again, the cops found they found the teenager tied up in the apartment. That's how they found him because they raided the house.
Right.
And then the 2 other suspects involved in the kidnapping pled guilty.
Meanwhile, the guy whose apartment it was in said, no, I didn't do it.
I didn't know.
Again, back to the macro point. The New York Times doesn't care about you. They know that this is a guy who was here, who had no business being here, who was involved in a gang crime, kidnapping a teenager, tying him up, pistol whipping him, and God knows what he put his father through. And the cops found the kid. And then the other 2 people involved with the crime admitted it. Like, yeah, we did it. So if we can't deport this person, who can we deport? Honestly,
They're sure to mention, though, that the other suspects pleaded guilty in exchange for reduced sentences.
right?
So why didn't he?
They made sure to do that.
Yeah.
Because he's innocent.
Well, here's the good. No, maybe. Hey, look. Maybe there's a twist.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It's a long article.
Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't write this giant pile of shit, right?
Spoiler, I read it.
Mr. Blair pleaded not guilty. Yeah. I'm the odd one out. He pled not guilty and went to trial in 2006 and faced 7 felony counts, including kidnapping and weapons charges. Mr. Blair admitted that he demanded money from the teenager, but maintains that he never held him against his will, never hit him with a gun, and never tied him up.
Yeah, just like that pedophile in Russia. He tied himself up.
Yeah, exactly. So you never held him against his will. The only way he was extracted was when the SWAT team came.
Yeah. He could have left at any time.
And the guns were out, from what I've read too. The guns were there and out.
They're always out.
2 handguns.
Yeah, 2 handguns. And the other 2 guys said, yeah, we did it.
But they lie.
It's like, no, the kid was there voluntarily for 3 days and 2 nights.
With no food or...
And it was a misunderstanding when I called. The father said, you're going to get $5,000 or you'll never see your son again. It's a joke in Jamaica.
It's Jamaican.
You don't have that joke here. It's like the calling saying, do you have Prince Albert in a can? But instead, I'm kidnapping your son.
Jamaican
Hey, how many
idioms.
ounces in a pound? I don't know the...
16.
16 ounces in
Is
a
it?
pound?
Is that right?
What's 16 times 200?
It's
I don't think it
science.
adds up to 5,000.
Well, it's at least 2.5 pounds because the other guy took half
It's a
pound.
half.
And they found it with 2.5
pound. What he stole was a half pound. I'm trying to think what the ransom money was. What was he looking to see? Was he seeking the amount, the value?
That's a good point.
Because I get like, yeah, you stole this much money.
He stole half a pound, is what he said.
Half a pound,
Yeah,
so...
so 8 ounces.
So 8 ounces.
What, $1,600?
Yeah.
Wow, how do you
By
know
Josh's
that?
math?
Thank you. Yeah, so if it's $200 an ounce, I mean,
Jeez,
granted, this
Tim,
is in
that's fair.
2005, it's different.
Yeah.
But if you go, which is, that's not cheap, $200 an ounce.
Shut up. It's what we call a finder's fee.
Aggravation charges.
But then here's the victim thing, right? Okay, so the other guys plead guilty. The cops had to raid the house. They find 2 guns. They find the kid tied up. They find injuries. All right. During the 2-week trial, Mr. Blair testified that police officers beat him while he was chained to a desk and coerced testimony that was used at the trial. Is there any proof of that?
Hold on.
Like, at this point, in other words, it's clear.
I mean, that's like-
you've got
that's-
nothing.
We don't need testimony. We also don't need 2 weeks
No.
to figure this out.
It's
Dick
like
Tracy.
when you pull a guy over for going 15 on the freeway.
Right.
And his eyes are red. You might not smell marijuana, but you say I smelled marijuana in the car.
Right.
It's like the lawyer going like, yeah, and then also say that they roughed you up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Say they
Beat you.
Yeah. No, you know. Here's the thing. They said they coerced testimony. Can we find this testimony, guys? Hey, Mission Control, can we find it? In other words, that means now, unless he's saying they coerced the testimony of the other guys who pled guilty, where he was trying
By
to
beating him?
Yeah, but he was saying they beat him, which means he basically admitted to something and tried to undo it. So he sat down with his pro bono Columbia lawyer, and he said, "I'm like, okay, so tell me, is there anything I should know?" Like, well, I admitted to it. What? I admitted it, but you didn't do it. I did. No, you just say they beat you. I don't understand. What were you saying?
They said it's not publicly available.
It's not public. Oh, okay. I wonder why the New York Times
Yeah.
picked this one.
You know, here's the thing is, that could be possible. It could be like an episode
It
of
could
some
be.
kind of, I don't know, 2005 crime show. But
The Shield,
after
you know.
all the other things, you're
Yeah.
like, I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I don't believe so
After
either.
all the other things, it's like, yeah, I doubt it. It's a
Also-
pretty clear-cut case. I don't even think they needed a confession
Right.
out of you. They found a kid tied up in your apartment with weed
And guns.
and guns.
And two other guys who were
And
like, we
testimony
did it!
From the kid's father. It's like, I don't think that's evidence they need.
The whole case took 2 weeks. And it was just
That's really
everyone
fast.
guilty.
There actually was. There was some heavy deliberation.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
it was.
Is there something I'm
No,
missing?
it's a few days. It's somewhere in here.
Okay. All right, I'll find. Okay.
I'm looking through the pages. I see LGBTQ community. I don't know what that heartstring is being pulled.
Is he gay?
No, I don't. Maybe I don't know.
Here's something else that I found funny. Upon returning to
Something about
Jamaica,
HIV here.
Mr. Blair focused on his immediate needs: buying clothes, getting his belongings shipped, finding out how to obtain an ID. It's like, oh, so they make you do that in Jamaica, and they don't just give you free clothes and figure that out. Like here in the United, they expect you to make your own way and have ID.
Wow.
Here's where it says the jury struggled to render a verdict, and a mistrial seemed possible. Oh, okay. So the New York Times, right? So there was a mistrial. But a judge instructed the jurors to continue deliberating after they said they were deadlocked, according to the court documents, which are not public. After 5 days of deliberations, the jury found Mr. Blair guilty of kidnapping in the first degree, but not the other charges.
The weapons charges of the guns that were clearly found.
They were there when I got there.
Yeah, exactly. They probably were sentenced to the other guys. Okay, now we have another chapter. I'm sorry, guys. We could just. I hope this one's for us. A metamorphosis in prison. Okay, all right. Metamorphosis in prison. So,
It's a fun prison that he went to. It sounds like a Disney movie.
so it wants you to believe, like, you guys may not remember this too. They did this whole thing with Tukey Williams, and I think people can be rehabilitated. But there was
Absolutely.
a huge civil rights protest. Tukey Williams, how could they put him? How could they put him to death? Well, Tukey Williams, I believe, was involved with it was the murder, the Crips, the killing of 4 different people on 3 separate occasions, if I'm not mistaken. And then when he was in prison, they said, oh, he wrote children's books. Sure. But he never gave up the information that would have led to the arrest of those people who likely were out there. They were still members of the Crips killing people. So it's like, yeah, okay, we get that you want to check your little bingo card saying, look, I'm rehabilitated. But where you can actually make a difference, there are still those gang members, the gang that you helped found out there on the street, right? And they're hurting people, they're killing people. Tukey Williams never helped with that. But he wrote a pop-up book. There you go.
That's not enough.
Was the pop a gunshot?
Yeah, no kidding.
Now remember that, because this man, Mr. Blair, he began writing poetry that he published online and in a newsletter that he circulated inside the prison.
Huh?
And he got married in 2012 to a Jamaican woman.
What?
Who visited him while he was in prison. Afforded conjugal visits.
What?
They had a son in 2014, but later divorced.
Who could have seen that one coming?
You think he divorced her because he didn't realize that marrying an also Jamaican doesn't give him the right to stay?
Right.
I can't believe that. I can't believe people in prison would not use protection.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe they gave him a conjugal visit.
I can. I mean,
Why?
guy's got a bone.
Yeah, but this is prison. That's part of it, I think. I don't know.
I think that's a normal thing, right? That's
It almost seems like, if you look at this, he met her while he was in prison, and she was banging him while he was in prison, and then he immediately left her, that he almost didn't actually care about her and was just banging her.
surely it goes into how he's a
married.
great father here. Somewhere.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Surely
it
mentions-
must.
Surely that's not the last mention of his fatherhood.
It must be, yeah, it must go into what a present father he is. Okay, here's but on the day of his release, ICE informed the prison that it would not detain Mr. Blair, he said.
What?
Still, when his aunt picked him up outside the prison, Mr. Blair sprinted to the car and reclined the passenger seat so he was hidden from view in case ICE was waiting.
I hope ICE was waiting down the street to make you think you got away.
And it doesn't mention
pull you over.
It mentions earlier, but it mentions not. It makes sure not to mention here cleverly that the year was 2020.
Oh. 2020. Okay.
So relatively recent. So it's almost like,
No, it's the timing of it is great.
Yeah.
Trump's out, Biden's in.
Well, Trump was in 2020.
2020, yeah, but everyone kind of.
No, but this also means that the majority of his time in the United States was spent in prison.
Yes.
pretty much
Yeah,
all of it.
within the first year.
in the first year.
Where else you go? Well,
He spent 6 years out of prison, 15 in.
I went to Queens and then Rikers.
He also visited Buffalo,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Got a few
Louisiana.
prisons under his
Yeah.
belt, you know?
Okay. All right.
Executive platinum.
So here we go. You talk about his fiance. Oh, sorry, but his fiance is separate from the woman he was banging in prison,
Wait,
who
he
he
has
met
a
while he
fiancé
was
now?
in prison. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Different lady.
He lived with his fiance, who was also Jamaican, and had been caring for her after she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Okay. So hopefully he stays with.
That is sad.
Yeah.
I do feel
is.
for her.
5 years had gone by since prison. He had recently purchased an 18-foot box truck, intending to one day have a trucking fleet.
Wait, so I was told that he started a trucking company. It sounds like he has dreams of starting a trucking company. Much
yeah.
like
You could have
dreams
a
of
you could have a
soccer.
trucking company with one truck.
Right.
Gave it up for
Right?
kidnapping and stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And he was thinking of buying a house next year. Well, that's also everybody.
Always.
Like, everybody
I
has
own a
thoughts.
house. I'm also thinking of buying one next year.
Yeah. I constantly think of buying houses. Just like, it'd be cool if I could just like buy all the houses. But I just,
Okay,
Okay, BlackRock.
I just
Chill out.
And then I'm like, I only need the one.
you can buy more if you want.
Yeah, I just think about it.
Yeah.
Every vacation, I think about buying a house
Yeah.
there.
I'm like, this is really nice. I should buy a house here.
Yeah.
And then instead, I buy an 18-foot box truck
You know, yesterday I
and
was
think about starting a trucking fleet.
thinking about buying an island.
Yeah, me too.
Then I realized I don't have money.
No,
How many trucks do you need for a fleet?
I would imagine more than one.
More than one, you think?
I think it's the definition.
But
There's no singular word for fleet.
No,
There's no like.
I have a dream of being the first single truck fleet.
I have the QT fleet gas card, though.
Like, this is such bull crap. They start. Can we go back? When they start the article, what was it? What was the article where it started? Where it said he was. Hold on a second. Let me find.
You said chapter. What chapter was
Well, because early on, hold on. I think I might have. We're going through this. 1 second.
We'll do it live with our friends.
Okay, hold on.
it? Is
Mr.
chat
Life
loving
Star was-
this or hating it, by the way?
They're loving it.
Okay. Because I like, is it just us?
It's so silly.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There was where was it? There was a whole thing. Hold on a second. There was a whole thing where it talked about
what?
earlier. Talked about him starting a trucking
That's
fleet.
what I mean.
That's what we
I
were,
said.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was
5 years
earlier.
had
Was that
gone
on
by
page one?
since
No,
prison.
in the beginning, where it said it was trying to make him out to be this like entrepreneur. He's done this. He started a trucking company.
Oh yeah,
He's
okay.
done all these things.
Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, hustling, dealing, Jamaican side dealing. Hold on a second. You guys keep reading it. Keep reading it. I'll find this. I want to because early on we just read it right where they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he did. He had a trucking fleet, and now they're like, he bought a truck and thought about an apartment twice.
You go, Josh.
It's probably the
Yeah,
top
well,
where it
there's-
says he was handcuffed.
Who deserves to stay?
There's something earlier where it says, where one of these ladies that was protesting says, I feel like if Mr. Trump met Mr. Blair, he would think that he is what makes America great.
We've got it.
Call President Trump.
Oh, okay, what's
they sent it
Well,
in.
that's what she said.
Okay, hold on.
I know.
Hold on. So it was his criminal past that had gotten him deported from the United States, where he had been rebuilding his life and seeking redemption. He had earned 2 college degrees, started a trucking business.
So thinking about starting a business is starting a business.
Well, he earned 2 college degrees. That's pretty cool. I wonder how he paid for it.
Yeah, no,
I
that's a
think
good
that was on
point.
us.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
sure.
how does he still have the free cash for thinking about
How
buying
did
a
he
house?
pay for 2 college degrees?
Us.
Sold a lot of weed.
Because no offense, but I actually offense. I don't know how he came up with the money. Was it the marijuana money from before?
Look, don't blame me that you can't afford 2 college degrees. Pull yourself up by your kidnapping bootstraps.
Good point.
Just kidnap a few more people, get a few more ransom.
How many ransoms did it take?
It was DeVry, I think.
Is it? It's like free education for prisoners. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Like how military people get it?
Okay, all right, hold on. Let's go. I can't.
They eat the same
I'm so
food.
tired.
That juxtaposition's rough, Josh.
Okay.
I know.
There's
That's
another.
why I said it.
Guys, there's still so many more chapters.
Are you serious?
You see, I have the tabs.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Are we at-
2025. I usually don't have to have tabs on a New York Times article when I print it.
Are we at rebuilding yet?
Yes. Rebuilding again in Jamaica. Now remember, all cultures are equal.
Or you could say building.
Yeah.
There's no re.
The comforts Mr. Blair took for granted in the United States vanished in Jamaica.
Like a free
prison?
education?
Free food.
Oh my God.
Camaraderie of other cellmates? I don't understand.
Just a few days after arriving, Mr. Blair was showering and flushing with buckets of water as the family dealt with a water outage, a frequent occurrence. Hey, can you guys bring up, and I like him, but Conan O'Brien, remember when Donald Trump said that Haiti was a shithole, or he said like these shithole countries?
Yeah.
And then Conan O'Brien took a picture of him in the water and was like, Haiti has always been beautiful. It was a whole campaign. It's always been beautiful.
Yeah, I remember
because
that.
Haiti is even worse than Jamaica, but as far as poverty, Jamaica's really bad. So keep in mind, this is the same left that tells you these countries are beautiful. You have no right to say that they're inferior. Who would ever use the term shithole? Well, I don't know. You talking about how...
There's the photo.
Yeah. He's going, Haiti was always beautiful. Now just pan that
He had
camera
to go
2 degrees.
he had to go half a mile off the coast.
Yeah, and you'll see Papa Doc standing over there.
There's someone waiting on the shore with a 2x4 and a nail in it.
Yeah, the black people are 100 yards away behind him.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Buckets
We've
of
got
water.
about 1 minute until we're going to be rating to Tim Pool. So
All right.
don't forget.
Mr. Blair was home.
Wait, he was home?
He was home.
I thought he wasn't home.
It doesn't feel like home.
But without a job. Maybe he can start a trucking company down there. I heard,
Well, it's not
I heard
that big of
trucks
an
are
island,
cheap.
so you don't have to go very far.
And living in a house that needed repairs.
Okay.
He went from thinking about buying one
Oh.
to being in one that needed repairs.
Well, hold on. It seems like he got to be in a house for free. This sounds like a better deal.
He's with family, which
Yeah.
it kind of seems tone deaf to me that they're talking about how shitty of a life this guy is having now. Living in the same conditions his family he abandoned have been living in
Right.
for the last 21 years.
Exactly.
He's reunited.
He says, this is my freaking reality after I worked so hard. What am I going to do? Well, why don't you just keep working hard?
Yeah, there you go.
You can still work hard in Jamaica.
Yeah, work hard in Jamaica. Hey, by the way, if you were thinking of buying a house, I would imagine you have some cash. Imagine you have some disposable income. You probably have another stash of 3 pounds of weed.
I mean, you're a
Couple of
two-time
guns.
collegiate graduate.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any weed in Jamaica.
you can't find.
Oh, you can't sell it there. Everybody has it.
There's one.
Yeah, I don't need to buy your weed, man. I got my own plant.
It's a saturated market.
How hilarious would it be if there's
Oh,
one,
you gotta sell me water too, man.
there's one dumb Jamaican there who's like, does anyone know where I can find some weed on this island?
Help me! I have glaucoma.
All right, this next one needs to be read in a voice.
That's not what I said.
Bigotry!
I love this. For a muscular man who speaks with great self-confidence about his soccer skills, his intellect, his business acumen, his life transformation, that means he's talking about himself.
Yes.
He's like, I'm the best soccer player ever.
Well, then
Pele couldn't wash my balls.
call up FIFA.
I have the best business acumen. I thought a fleet of trucks was one.
Like you said before, why can't you do it in Jamaica?
He tried tapping into the restless energy that had rubbed off on him in New York to keep busy with his immediate needs. Formally quitting the job he left behind, you didn't really need to do that.
No, not so much.
I would like to send him a letter of resignation.
Hold on, I thought you owned a truck and started your own business. Did you resign to yourself?
Formally? How do you formally do it?
I wrote myself an email from a separate account.
Was this truck
Hold on a second. Jamaica, okay. Quitting a job he left behind, getting his belongings shipped to Jamaica, finding out how to obtain a local ID, and dealing with a stray bull roaming the backyard.
What?
All cultures are equal. Oh, when I was in Yonkers, I never had to worry about angry bulls.
Do you think the stray bull is a cow or just a man who wants to bang him?
Well, never know.
No, that's just Jeff, the neighborhood bull.
Here's the thing, without a job or car, Mr. Blair mostly languished in his sister's home, even as he expressed fear of becoming a burden to her. So hold on a second, wait a second. I don't fully hold on. But without a job and living in a home that needs repairs. Okay, his sister had carved out an abandoned and rundown section of the house for Mr. Blair to fix up as his own. So, okay.
Abandoned?
So his family isn't doing, in other words, they're living as many Jamaicans, as most Jamaicans do.
Yeah, but how do you abandon
hard life
part of
down
your
there.
home?
Well, there was a big
I mean,
hole
there's
in the
maybe
floor.
a room that you don't use as much, but I wouldn't
Right.
call that like an abandoned portion, a wing of the estate. What are you talking about?
I mean, I don't even know that ownership laws apply there.
I don't.
It is a
either.
different place. It's a hard place to live, and you know
Yes.
he doesn't want to be a burden to his sister. So maybe he
Work.
should get his hands dirty and build some fucking house.
Yeah, exactly. Or what?
Sorry, I didn't
hap-
mean to curse like that.
What happened to his fiance?
Well,
Yeah, what is she? They said Jamaican fiance. Is she Jamaican in Jamaica?
Well, by the way,
No way.
Hey, can we bring this up? Wasn't Jamaica listed as having pretty damn good healthcare on that international list of socialized
you're
health? Where
right.
we were right below. Was it Lithuania or Colombia?
Right.
Lithuania.
I
Right,
wonder
we're-
if it's higher than us on the list of happiness.
Yeah, Jamaica.
Because of
Yeah,
weed.
exactly. So
Yeah.
so the fiance. So either she doesn't want to go to Jamaica, or
If she might be illegal here in America.
Yeah, she might be
Or maybe
illegal
she
here in
is legal in America, and she doesn't want to go back. Maybe she's on a visa. She doesn't want to go back, which is understandable.
I will say his relationships don't really seem to have that sticky factor.
no.
Yeah. What about this kid?
Well,
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
talk about him. We don't talk about the bastard.
His name must be
Have you ever
Bruno.
seen him?
The little bastard's lucky I made him. In the prison walls.
Ugh.
He was like Bane. He was born in the dark.
I love a guy complaining about his situation while also creating a lifetime of struggle for another human being.
I know.
A fatherless child who would appear to have been fatherless for a while he was even in the States.
And by the way, they even say
Because they would have pulled that heartstring. If they could have,
Yeah.
if they could have called him an outstanding citizen
Yeah.
and an upstanding father, they would have put that in here 7 times.
I bet you the divorce record is public because it says later divorced. I'm willing to bet he divorced her. That's what I'm willing to bet.
Well, he got out of prison.
Otherwise,
3
they
days
would-
later was
yeah.
like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 5 years to spend with his kid after getting out of prison.
Yeah, 5 years. 5 years to be a father, right?
Piece of shit.
It's just a piece of shit.
Probably didn't even leave his trucking fleet to him.
No,
No.
he
Probably sold the truck.
Kidnappers and sons.
It's a family business.
Look, your grandfather was a kidnapper. Your father was a kidnapper. And by God, you'll be a kidnapper.
The second I find out somebody is an absent is a totally I don't want to say absent father, but a totally uninvolved father.
Well, you know
and
what?
then something like this, I have zero sympathy.
Yeah.
Zero sympathy.
And by the way, there are
Because you have
multiple
kids.
steps. Here's the thing. Here's also proof. When they say more education would solve the out-of-wedlock birth problem. This is a guy with 2 degrees, right?
Right.
He's a self-made man who's accomplished apparently the best undiscovered soccer star in the world.
He could pass those skills on.
You didn't know, even though I guarantee you, they warn you during conjugal visits. I'm pretty sure they provide them.
Yeah.
Didn't use it, conceived a kid, and then left. So many education doesn't solve it.
Maybe a dirtbag.
Yeah. What were you Noodles? Were you?
They sent in the healthcare stats, and yeah, they're 67. We're 69. So good on them.
Oh!
69. Nice.
So why
Nice.
doesn't your
69.
fiance go down to that Jamaica, get that breast cancer treated by your world-class voodoo doctor?
If we can
Watch
get,
out for the bull.
if we can get scale of happiness, watch out for the bull. That's the doctor.
You just go in like, I think I have a lump. All right. We have a protocol. You have to sacrifice a rooster.
Throw the bones.
I swear it worked.
As he began taking in the island, a drive by his school, a visit to the hotel kitchen where he used to toil.
What does that mean?
I thought,
Work hard.
yeah, toil. toil. Then he applied his toiling skills to kidnapping.
Yes, well. But realized he was on an island.
Yeah.
Couldn't get away.
A stroll on the field where he pursued his soccer playing dreams.
Again with that.
But I thought it didn't feel like home. I thought he
Wow.
didn't know this place.
This is
There's a young black American kid in New York City that would love for a father to teach him how to play soccer right now.
Yep. You're exactly right.
Yep.
By the way, you know the place that would feel most like home to this guy in the United States? Prison.
It's true. It's where he spent most of his time here.
That's where he spent most of his time. Like, Jamaica, it goes in order of if home is where the heart is, where you spend the most amount of time.
Yeah.
For him, it goes, I don't know, probably prison, then Jamaica, then wherever else he lived. Maybe it's Jamaica, prison. I don't know. Maybe we can confirm his age. But certainly 15 years in prison
He's
was
44
more.
now.
Okay, so he's 44, so 15.
So he
okay,
spent more time in Jamaica than here, but not by a lot.
not by a lot, and most of his time here in prison.
It looks like, at least.
Yeah,
23 to 21.
yeah. 15 years in prison, 6 years out of prison in the United States. He's like, this place doesn't feel like home.
Well,
Oh, I miss this solitary.
Wonder how many senators are going to go visit him in Jamaica.
Well, by the way,
Can't sleep without the cries of a man in the middle of the night.
that's right. I need to be Little Spoon. Now, he also said, Mr. Blair.
I can't shower alone, man.
no one tried to rape me in the shower. I don't feel wanted.
By the way, it's not, you guys, Josh and I agree with this. Sometimes it's nice to be Little Spoon as a guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Big spoon? No, I just mean.
Oh, okay.
Like
I
when
know
you're,
what you mean.
especially like you get an arm on you. You're like, oh, I'm not always the one who has to, like, because someone.
Yeah, sometimes that hand drifts a little south.
Yeah. Usually because I move it.
Yeah,
I
it drifts like my boat does when I steer it.
Mr. Blair's Jamaica seemed smaller to him, in comparison to prison.
You mean you grew up and everything isn't small anymore?
Okay, after going to the airport, Mr. Blair's sister took her, handled the curling, preoccupied with the mugshot and fingerprints being taken. I had no idea how he would begin a job search, how employers would reconcile his qualifications with his deportation.
It's not the deportation.
It's the reason.
Criminal history.
It's the reason for the deportation.
Yes.
Yeah, if they were
His prospects dimmed about a month after his arrival when local news outlets wrote about his deportation. His deportation after ICE issued a news release with his photo publicizing his kidnapping conviction and touting his removal from the United States.
Well, I was like,
oh no, I lost my job at the daycare.
I love to, even right before that, it says, this deportation is not going to do me good for his resume, his sister said. They're going to assume the worst.
Oh my
No,
God.
I bet you before they have the information, they'd be like, he was deported from the States. That's been going around. Did he overstay a visa? Yeah, that was mainly it. And the kidnapping. What?
Huh?
There was some kidnapping there. What was that?
Yeah, well, I had a thought this would happen when in high school. He won the award of most likely to be kidnapping.
What did you do for the 15 years?
It's like they're going to assume the worst. They would not assume kidnapping.
No.
They would assume visa overstay.
Yes, exactly.
They would assume maybe some kind of tax thing. Like I've known
It doesn't
people.
even show up. I mean, you're serious? They're reading the resume. They're like, yeah, 15 years for kidnapping. I guess we're fine with that.
Especially
Deportation?
Especially with how the mainstream media is selling this, deportation operation by this administration. They're
I know.
selling it as this witch hunt, this racist hunt for everyone who's not a white American.
Yeah.
And then they watch it, and then they think they're going to assume the worst. No, the worst they're going to assume is that he was deported for no reason. He had a perfectly good visa. He's a college
make any
graduate, for crying out loud. He's a father. That's what they're going to assume.
Okay, here you go. Hold on. Let me just read the end of it because this is how they want to leave you. They want to leave you remembering that. Ignore all the kidnapping. Ignore all the
Something about breakfast.
On a recent Sunday morning, the sun seeped into the hilltop house as Mr. Blair's nephew picked June plums from the backyard to make fresh juice.
Running
At
from the bull.
gunpoint.
Yeah.
Make the fresh juice!
Watch out for the bull.
His grandmother made the bed while his sister cooked breakfast, beef liver, cooked banana, dumplings, and coffee. Hey, if
Sounds
she's
good.
giving you a place to stay, notice he's not doing any of it.
work.
I like his
How am I
sister-
going to get a job? Thanks for the fresh juice. You making breakfast? What you cooking? I'll be back in the hammock.
His sister and grandmother and family, I want to be on the record saying, I like them.
They seem like
Good for
people.
them.
They're taking care of their family. They didn't do anything wrong here.
They all sat to eat next to two giant barrels awkwardly placed by the dining table. The barrels were stuffed with rice, canned beans, sacks of sugar, and bottles of cooking oil. The dry goods Mr. Blair used to ship from New York. The dry goods Mr. Blair used to ship from New York to help feed his family. Now they were feeding him too. Also, at the bottom of the barrel, they found 18 pounds of meth.
It's just as believable.
This story. This is
Oh, how did that gun get in there?
Oh, that's what we call the bonus gun. It's like Cracker Jack. Yeah, and you ship a little sugar and no one knows. Oh, there's a Browning high power in there.
Like a box of the Captain Crunch.
How did it get in there? Oh, well,
Here's the media talking
maybe
about
there's
this.
a sticker too.
Look at this. Fact check. New York Times article did not fail to mention his kidnapping conviction and prison sentence. Thank you for the fact check.
Well, that's not what we said.
We didn't say they failed to mention it. We said they downplayed it and misled about all.
So stupid.
By the way, his nephew is making the plum juice. What about
On
his
the
son?
hilltop home?
What's that?
It sounds nice.
The hilltop home as the sun, like they painted it as like he's living in paradise now.
I know.
Yeah, but they're also on an island where they would have sugarcane,
Yes.
and he has to ship it.
Well,
Well, maybe it's cheaper in the U.S. somehow.
I know Jamaica's run by like gangs and stuff in a lot of
Yeah.
those places, but it's I'm sorry you screwed up your island. Okay, we didn't do it.
I'm
you
not
guys
sorry.
did it.
I'm not sorry.
No, I meant the people in general. That you should have like not screwed up paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, when I was in Guantanamo Bay, there were a lot of Jamaicans who worked there, and a lot of the guys who were working there were constantly getting mugged by them.
What?
Yeah, I went deep sea fishing with a guy who was like a real life Ralphie May. He was like 400 pounds.
Jeez.
And I remember I had some fish in the cooler that we had caught. He was like, oh man, you gotta put that away. You can't just walk around that cooler. You put it there. I got a spare cooler. You gonna put it in? I go. He goes, well, I'm telling you, last week I had a Jamaican. He said they love bonefish. They go nuts. I said one guy came out. He held a knife. I mean, he gonna give it. I said, you motherfucker gonna stab me with a bonefish? And he showed me the cut where the guy stabbed him with a
God.
penknife for a bonefish.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Jeez.
Did he kill the guy?
No, I didn't kill the guy.
not?
I mean, I think it was a surface wound because he was really fat.
That doesn't matter. You got stabbed.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
the headline.
It's the principle of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.